Welcome back. All right, let's talk about something that might be a little surprising or a little upsetting. Intuition. We're talking about intuition. Your intuition isn't weak. You just have to stop ignoring it. Yep, there, I said it. So often I hear people talk about intuition, they want to strengthen it. But the thing is that it's talking to them all the time. It's talking to you all the time. And every single time you get that little inkling, that little, ooh, I think I should have turned there, or ooh, I should have done that thing, and then it comes back and bites you that you didn't do it, that was a time where your intuition was talking to you and you ignored it. You ignored it. Every time you ignore your intuition, you're losing an opportunity to strengthen that muscle. I'm Alicia Wilfert, life coach and founder of Yoke and Abundance, and today we are talking about how to flex your intuition muscle. And you're not alone. I have absolutely done this too. In fact, I spent an entire decade ignoring my intuition. It started when I took a job in corporate America. Like from the very first interview, I went in, I wore this white suit with a black button-down shirt. I was working in a grocery store setting at the time, and so this was the only suit I had. I didn't have a lot of experience with office settings, and I had these little bangly earrings that made a little bit of a noise. And when I went in for the interview, listen, I knocked this interview out of the park. It's like, to this day, one of the best interviews I've ever had. And after that initial interview with two people, one of the people in that interview said, all right, I'm gonna go get our boss. We'd love for him to meet you today. And while that person was getting the upper management, the other person in the interview leaned over like she wanted to be my friend and said, you're doing a great job, but lose those earrings. You seem really unprofessional. And the next person that you're gonna be talking to is not gonna like them. Well, that just killed my confidence and it rattled me. I wanted to look like a good girl, so I took the earrings off. I tucked those earrings in my purse. They broke in my purse. And I went and spoke to their higher up. And yeah, I did get the job. But I got the job by taking off earrings that actually weren't that unprofessional. They had a little bit of character. And I knew going into that job that it was my new job to fit in, to make myself small, to strip myself of all of the things that made me me, to fit in and do a good job at that position. And that was just the beginning. I spent a decade making myself small, ignoring my intuition in that job. Every single time I had an opportunity to strengthen and listen to my intuition, I ignored it. I let myself turn into someone that wasn't me. Can you relate to that? Please drop it in the comments below if you've ever had an experience like that, where you knew your intuition was telling you something and you didn't take it, you didn't go with it. I knew I hated that job. I knew it wasn't the right fit for me from the beginning, but because I didn't have a backup position, because I didn't know what I would do without that job, because I didn't know what my purpose was, I didn't leave it, even though the whole time my intuition was screaming at me. Eventually, it felt like when I listened and did what she had been asking me to do for 10 years, I felt like I was setting her free. I was opening the cage door and letting her out. Can you relate to that? So since then, I have done everything in my power to never let that happen again. And I have been working on strengthening my intuition on a daily basis for the last 7 years. So today I'm going to share with you my top 5 exercises for strengthening your intuition. All right, let's do this. Come on. And before we talk about that, before we talk about the ways you can strengthen your intuition, I'd like you to really start to pay attention to all of the places where you aren't listening to your intuition. Anytime you get that feeling. A big one that I see my clients do is, maybe you get the opportunity for a new job, or you are thinking about strengthening a relationship with a partner or leaving a relationship with a partner, or trying for a big change in your life, whatever that change is. Inside, you know the answer. But instead of doing what your intuition is asking you to do, you go ask your mom, your sister, your dad, your best friend what they think you should do. And you consult with all of these other people and you weigh their opinion much more highly than your own intuition, as if they know what it's like to live and be you. Every time you do that, you are weakening your intuition. And I want to make a distinction. There is absolutely a distinction between gathering information, having folks help you look at things from different angles. But if you've gotten the feeling in your tummy that you know what to do, but you're looking for a different answer, and you're trying to find it with your mom or your sister or your brother or your dog, it doesn't matter. Those are all the wrong places to look. And every time you do that, you're ignoring your intuition. You're letting it get weaker. So what do you do instead? How do you strengthen that intuition muscle? Well, I've got 5 ways for you to strengthen your intuition muscle. The first way, that is probably the most important way to strengthen your intuition muscle, is you have to start paying attention. You have to get quiet. Yes, I'm gonna say it. You have to sit down and meditate. And meditation can be a seated practice, or you can go on a walk without distractions. You have to have a contemplation practice. You have to sit down and observe your thoughts and your feelings and your body. And you can really only do that by sitting down, practicing, and listening. So the first thing that you need to do if you want to strengthen your intuition is have a contemplation practice, have a meditation practice, have a seated formal practice of getting quiet. Getting quiet, finding stillness is where you will always find answers. The second thing to do to strengthen your intuition is to have a reflection practice. My favorite way to reflect, what I ask all of my clients to do, is to journal. Journaling, morning pages, whatever you want to call it. Sit down and write out what you're thinking. Having a dedicated practice that you do at least 5 days a week consistently allows you to have a space to begin to understand your own thoughts. We don't write because we know the answer. We write to figure things out. Writing is a way for you to get to know how you feel about something before you go talk to a whole bunch of other people about it, before you make a decision. And connecting with that in your body is the perfect way to do it. This next one, number 3, you have to pay attention to the signals that you are getting. And specifically, there are 2 blinking red lights that could come up: fear and the inner critic. If you are thinking about doing something and you start to feel fear, and I'm not talking about fear of actual danger, but the fear of like, what if, that's scary, what could happen if your mind starts going down that road, thinking of all of the different ways that you could potentially fail, Or if your inner critic shows up, so you think about something you want to do, you get a little bit excited, and then the inner critic shows up and they say things like, "Who do you think you are to do that? Oh, you better go get another degree if you want to do that." That inner critic that's showing up, and the inner critic says lots of different things, and it comes in lots of different voices. Fear and the inner critic are oftentimes signals to move forward, not away. Fear, and I'm not talking about you're actually in danger types of fear, but fear or the inner critic is a blinking signal that you have landed on something that is very, very important. And oftentimes our fear and our inner critic is much, much louder than that still, small voice within that asks us to pay attention, to trust ourselves, to try, to go for it, to do it. The fourth way to strengthen your intuition is to pay attention to your body. Our body, our physical body, is so intelligent, and it is giving us signs and signals all the time, just like our mind, just like the fear and the inner critic. Our body is trying to tell us things as well. If you have a big event coming up, if you have a big decision coming up, and you have a terribly upset stomach, you might feel nauseous or diarrhea, all of those are signals. And if you pay attention and note them, you can learn if that's a fear response. You can learn if that's your body telling you, nope, this is not something that you should be doing. Or you learn if that's a natural part of your process when you're getting ready to do something important. Your body is always telling you lots of different things that are truly impactful. You have to pay attention to it. And in your meditation practice, in your reflection practice, you'll be able to start noting those things as well. But don't discount your body and somatically what it is trying to tell you, because it's important. It's, again, another way to flex that intuition muscle. The fifth way that I want to talk about today, and there are lots of different ways to really strengthen your intuition. These are just the top 5 that are on my mind right now that I think could be quick wins for you. But the fifth and final way to flex your intuition muscle is something that is so near and dear to my heart. And you're gonna laugh when I say this, because those of you who've been following along with me for a while know it is living in alignment with your personal core values. You have to take the time to identify your personal core values. But even taking that a step further, you have to start to actually live your values. What do I mean by live your values? It means beginning to cut out the commitments, the people, the places, the time sucks, the distractions that are keeping you from being in alignment with your personal core values. If you have not yet taken the time to identify your personal core values, go back to my videos. You will find a video on how to identify your core values, and go do those exercises. If you know what your values are, you will start to feel how it feels to be in interactions with people that aren't in alignment with your core values. You will begin to feel what it feels like to try to honor commitments that you've made that aren't in alignment with your core values. And if you know on the front end what your core values are, then you don't have to feel that incongruency, the friction, the pain of doing something that isn't in alignment with your values. And this can be little things and big things, but every time you say yes to something that is out of alignment with your core values, you are weakening your intuition muscles. What I believe is that your personal core values are the key to unlocking so many different things, but in this case, especially unlocking, strengthening your intuition muscle, right? Woo! Strengthening those intuition muscles. If you do all of those things and you start to pay attention to what your intuition, your core values are telling you, then you'll begin to understand when you say yes to your intuition and when you say no to your intuition. Every time you say yes to your intuition and make a decision and follow through on that intuition, it is a way to strengthen it. And you'll begin to see, if you're taking notes, if you're reflecting, you'll begin to see how when you honor your intuition, it pays off. But you have to pay attention, you have to note that, you have to write it down. So please drop in the comments below. Let us know, when was a time that you honored your intuition and it worked out? What has that taught you about honoring your intuition going forward? If you like these videos, please hit like and subscribe, and even better, share this video with a friend who you know could benefit from it. Thanks so much for being here. I'll see you again next time.